just got back from watching Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Yo, I could see why the movie killing it right now at the box office in Japan and globally. I could see why, because this movie was such a treat. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. No, I'm no big movie reviewer or anything like that, but I love anime, I love games, and so when Demon Slayer dropped from episode 1, I was basically hooked. And so when I heard that the last part of the manga would be just 3 movies, Infinity Castle being the first one, I was very excited. I was very hyped. And let me just say it lived up to my expectations. It actually went beyond my expectations. Let me just start by saying I really appreciate how they handled this movie. I really appreciated it. You know, in some anime, they kind of don't really respect your intelligence as a viewer. But I must say, this was not the case with Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. They totally respected your intelligence in this movie. This movie was well written, well edited, well produced. It was everything. Chef's kiss. The soundtrack for this movie. Sometimes you're watching the movie and you just hear the jingles and that kind of thing. Just hear the sound. Even during certain fight scenes, you can hear the sound coming out, and the way the soundtrack is arranged, it's not your everyday soundtrack, right? It's not everyday soundtrack. Sure, there is a lot of musicals, but a lot of instrumentals, but the instruments they were using, it kind of brought you into the fight, brought you into that very scene. Now, I would admit that, let's talk about the pacing. I would admit that there was a point in time where it kind of dragged, and you kind of felt like, yeah, I've seen this episode before. I've seen an episode like this before. So you could tell that, yeah, that it's a series that became a movie. There were points in time where it dragged a bit. Even the theater I went to, some of the younger viewers, they got a little, I wouldn't want to say bored, but some of these younger kids today, the attention span is kind of short, and so they just love the action. So you could have seen where it kind of slowed. But other than that, from the get-go, the action was there. It was just pure action. And what I love about this series, right, this series, is that there's agency in this movie, and there are actually stakes, right? There are actually stakes. Though it might not be, persons died in the movie, not to spoil it, but persons died in the movie. But it's not only the fear of death. Sometimes you don't want to see your favorite characters getting maimed, because we all remember the Entertainment District Act, and we saw limbs were lost, eyes were lost, and things like that, right? So we know that it's not only persons might die, but even in Mugen Train, persons died, and that kind of had it's a continuation naturally, and so there were callbacks to Mugen Train. But yeah, persons died, and it hit hard. The deaths in this movie hit hard, and so I really appreciate that for sure. We're talking about our what I love about this series too. Even though Tanjiro is the main character, the others are so well developed in a sense that you care for them, because they're not just some shallow characters, so you care about them. And there were many revelations in this movie that made you see, some movies where the villains, you said, man, the villain was right, So sometimes in this movie, certain demons, you could see why they became demons, and life just beating some of them down. Life just beat them down, and life was just so unfair, so cruel to some of them, that they ended up seeing becoming a demon as the only way out. And so some of this was explored with some of the demons, and it gave you a different perspective. So it made you look at them differently. And sometimes in series like Naruto and the like, they give you the background for some of the villains, and sometimes you feel for the villains. So I always love a complex villain, right? Unlike, a series like Solo Leveling that is just kind of shallow in terms of story. The villains in Solo Leveling, they just come and go just like that. In other anime series, they come and go, right? Not One Piece. I'm gonna say One Piece, but One Piece do have, some of the villains do have some good acts. But what I meant to say was that in some anime series, the villains are just bad for bad sake. Now, there's a place for that. There's a place for villains that are just bad for the sake of being bad. I could appreciate some of that at times. But yeah, what I love about this show also is that these upper demons, they really do challenge our main characters. So it's not any power fantasy happening here. These upper level demons are going to challenge you. They are going to push you to your limit, right? Hashirama and Nat, they're going to push you to your limit. We saw that when Goku died in Mugen Train, and so we know that. And it's almost every fight with the upper level demon, the main characters, they barely winning these fights, barely winning these fights. I have not seen an episode, a movie in Demon Slayer where the main characters are so OP that they just trample upon some of these villains. These villains are going toe to toe with you, and they have the plus of being a demon. So you must have to kill them by cutting off their necks, right? Cutting off their heads. So that again was front and center. These demons, and once they have a number, these demons are not playing, right? And I cannot wait to see the rest of the movies. In some series, like for example Naruto. Look at Naruto. Sometimes these guys are Genin, Chunin, whatever, and they end up in fights with, persons that are supposed to be so dangerous, so deadly. And these little kids from the Leaf Village going toe to toe with these supposedly strong foes. Hey, in Demon Slayer, this ain't happening. If the man is an upper level demon and you are not up to the task, they are going to stomp you into the ground. And so I appreciate the scaling, the power scaling in this series. They don't play. When they say you are number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3, ain't no walk in the park. Because most times you realize that one demon will be taking on 2 or more, 2 or more of the main characters. It takes teamwork to beat some of these demons by themselves. They are just on a next level. So I cannot wait to see what happens when they're trying to fight against Muzan. That's gonna be I can't wait, because Muzan, if upper levels, right, upper levels are so powerful that it takes multiple of our main characters to defeat them. Imagine when the big king, the big boss come now, right? Imagine when the big boss come. Man, they're gonna take the whole everybody else. They're gonna take every single body. But if you are a fan, run out, see this movie. If you are not a fan, run out, see this movie. Because this movie lived up to the hype that I had for it, exceeded it, and the choreographed fights, the action. At one point, I was just at the tip of the chair in the movie, just at the tip, just want to get closer and closer to the action, because I was so drawn into what's happening. I was so invested. And let me tell you, there are some twists that you're not going to, they're called twists for a reason. You're not going to see them coming at all. And I really enjoyed those twists. It wasn't straightforward anything. It was no Taka no Jitsu like Naruto and those kind of things. There are times where Tanjiro, you know what I really love about Tanjiro as a character? Tanjiro is intelligent. Tanjiro is intelligent. And so he's not some brainless fighter. Tanjiro would sit there and try to figure out his opponents, try to understand what's happening, and try to find a solution. I really appreciate that about Tanjiro as a main character. He is not just a mindless fighter. Sometimes you see some series, look at series like Black Clover or even Dragon Ball, right? Especially Super, where Goku is just Just, he might be an intelligent fighter, but outside of that, he's not. But Tanjiro is a more well-rounded character. Remind me a lot of Ichigo from Bleach, where Ichigo is still not some dumb fighter. Ichigo still care. He's still intelligent. He can read a fight, that kind of thing. So I love that about Tanjiro also. He's not just a mindless fighter. And you're going to see some things that he figures out in this movie. So he's basically leveling up in this movie to just not like solo leveling, right? But he's going to level up in this movie. And it's not going to be like Luffy and Gear 5, the waste of time Gear 5. I don't know what that is. Luffy need to come back down. They need to change. He needs to evolve again. Luffy just needs to evolve again. But I digress. Go out and see the movie. It was a fun ride. Ufotable, Ufotable, whatever you want to call them. They are at the top of the game right now. And I'm so happy that they chose to do it like this. Because I've never experienced Demon Slayer in theaters. And the social experience where people were actually applauding, right? And they were actually audible gasp when certain things happen in the movie. Like, what? Where did that come from? And people really appreciated the artistry in this movie. The way they frame certain scenes and the way that... Just go and watch the movie. You will not be disappointed. If I was giving a score or anything like that, I would give this movie here a 10 out of 10 if I was giving a score. But I ain't giving a score. Fun factor, off the chains. Fun factor is 100 out of 100. Go see this movie. And of course, I watched it Japanese. So I read for the whole 2 hours. I read subs for the whole 2 hours. No problem. I can't imagine how it sounds in dub. But when it comes out on whichever streaming platform, I'll watch it over to see how the dub sounds. Alright, thanks for listening to my little 2 cents on this wonderful, awesome movie.